Three, two, one, and we're live. What's up, everybody? It's Tyler with Hook Sets Are Free. It is 9 o'clock here on Monday, January 22nd, 2024. Hope everybody's doing well. I think I was on here once this year, but this might be my first or second time in 2024. So it's been a while. Hope everybody's doing well. Cheers. As you can see, we've got a little bit of a change of pace. I'm drinking water tonight. Yeah, my wife and I are participating in dry January, if you will. So, um, I have made a couple of exceptions. I'll say that for birthdays and such, but um, otherwise, it's a dry month for me. So I am not partaking on the live streams. So I'm drinking water tonight, but that really only leaves us another 2 weeks before I'll be back, and we'll likely have a beer or a whiskey in my hand next time I'm live streaming. So, oh well. It's good to try things out and exercise a little bit of restraint every now and again. Good to see you guys in here. What's up, Frank? Grimy, Adam. Long time no see is right. Riley, how you doing? Thank you very much. Everybody is doing well in the family indeed. We had a great holiday season. We're able to go away on vacation to the Bahamas, and then I've been up to the mountains twice to do some skiing. So obviously, fishing is not just few and far between, but almost non-existent in this time of year. I only get out maybe a handful of times to do some trout fishing, usually fly fishing during the winter. I did catch one brown trout on Saturday evening, ended up keeping it from the creek and made some trout nuggies for the crew that was up in the mountains with me. So that was fun. But not a lot of fishing on my end. I still have my mind on fishing as always. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet or not. Just got this in the mail and have not yet busted it open and perused. But this is the kind of thing that I could browse for at least an hour, and I typically do once a year. So maybe we'll do that on this stream, but I think it would be kind of boring for me to be scrolling through this without actually showing you what's on each page. So maybe what I'll do is I will go through it and mark some pages, and then another time we can go through the stuff on a separate live stream. But I just happened to flip to this page, and it kind of relates to, I was at, I think, Cabela's just last week. Stopped in for a moment on my way home from work. Did see that they had at least the 6-inch size, but of the new coal shad. The coal shad was cold, if you will. They pulled it from production because I guess it had been rushed. The first version or batch of these was kind of not as would be ideal. I didn't get my hands on any, didn't go out of my way to try them, but because I was in the store the other day, saw these sitting next to the mag drafts. There was a new color or two of the mag draft. I was tempted to grab one, but Cabela's has them overpriced. They're like 18 or 19 bucks there. The coal shad, on the other hand, is like $11.99. So I decided to grab one to see what it's about. Plus, I like this color pattern. So we'll go ahead and pull it out to just compare side by side with an actual mag draft. Assuming I have one close by. Of course, I've got a few that are unopened sitting like right here, but I could just show you next to, one of the unrigged mag drafts that I do have rigged up, because the action, the consistency of the plastic really is the same, whether you're getting the freestyle or the traditional mag draft. You get just, it's kind of a firm, soft plastic. You don't get a ton of tail action. And as a result, if you're not boiling these tails, a mag draft does want to be swum at a true medium speed to be able to get that proper tail kick. It will roll over or blow out if you fish it too fast. And if you fish it too slow, it just will not have that tail kick. But the Kolshat, on the other hand, because of that honeycomb, take a look at just how much more nimble that tail actually is. So I'm kind of curious. It's got about twice the amount of tail, um, not in terms of length, but in terms of action and just how soft it is. So I am curious. That honeycomb probably does make a difference. This is a relatively firm, soft plastic, so it's probably not going to tear up super easily. It's not like the tail is going to get bit off easily, but I like this color, kind of an electric shad. They call it electric shad. Um, Couple features about this bait, aside from just the main difference being that honeycomb rear section, is how the harness and the hook are attached. So don't know how well you'll be able to see this. It is a super translucent bait, so I was hoping you might be able to see here, but there is a giant screw lock inside the body of this bait. You can kind of see it. It's up here, and it's a mega sized screw lock sitting just above center that keeps this whole harness system in place. And then, of course, just like you'd get with any other bait, you're going to get a split ring to a swivel to a split ring to a treble hook. And then the anchor system here is what makes this bait different. You can see that there's a screw lock inside the bait there that holds this hook hanger in place. So you don't even need to bury the treble. Of course, I would not prefer for just one point to be exposed like that. So what most people are going to do, myself included, is put the hook in this cutout channel. And you can see there's also um, two sections, two holes that are pre-drilled here for you to put nail weights and control the rate of fall and the depth at which this bait is swimming. So you're just going to put your hook right in that hollowed out section in the belly. It doesn't pierce the plastic at all, but then you clip it onto this guy here. So you just kind of set that hook in there and then press in to lock that hook in place. And it will not come free very easily. Now, it could come free like so and move around a little bit. I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not, but either way, you could tuck that hook point into a piece of the soft plastic inside the bait if you wanted to. But I picked it up just to see what it feels like in my hand, also because I like the color. And you guys know I like to try different things. So I'm going to give this a shot. It does smell like power bait, which is not a bad thing. But yeah, I don't have many things to say about it other than sure. Is it a knockoff of the Mag Draft? Hard to say. Is it heavily inspired by the Mag Draft? Of course it is. So I didn't buy it because it's cheaper. I bought it because I think it might swim a little bit differently, might be a little bit less sensitive to speed, and I like the color. So thought I would update you on that. And then I've got my package from Discount Tackle to unbox in just a second here after I greet the rest of you nerds. Thank you for being in here. It shows right now there's only 6 people in here. Could very well be true, but Caro in the house. What's up, Caro? How are you doing tonight? I saw you in Brendan and Jermaine's stream for a little bit. Glad to see you over here. Thank you for joining. Nothing like some nimble tail. You're right about that, chicken fried steak. Hopefully, it'll be one that you can swim a bit slower. And with the added assistance of a nail weight or two, perhaps even creep a little bit along the bottom. Now, you're not going to want to keep it on the bottom due to that treble hook hanging off the bottom of the bait, but you can swim it probably a little bit lower in the column. So I'll play around with that a little bit, see if there's a particular way that I prefer to fish it. And of course, I'll keep you guys posted. But as you know, that won't be until sometime in March or April. So we're a ways off of that. But Simon's there in the house. What's up, Simon? How you doing? Sorry if you hear my dog whining a little bit at the top of the stairs. She's usually happy to come down here with me, but she's in some sort of mood tonight. So before I crack this open, I will give you my normal spiel. DiscountTackle.com. I shop there once a month, have for, I don't know, the last 4 or 5 years, and absolutely love it. If you like bass fishing tackle, pan fishing tackle, terminal tackle, rods, reels, whatever it is, Discount Tackle has a good selection and great deals. I am a brand ambassador there, have been since the program started, and am a big fan of the brand. So if you see anything that you like here during this unboxing, or you just want to check them out, click the link in the description of this video. That is an affiliate link of mine. I do make just a small commission off of that. And more importantly than that, it lets Discount Tackle know that I have sent you their way, which goes a long way for my relationship with them. They do like to see that I'm helping drive traffic. So that said, I made about a normal size purchase this month. Here's the sticker that is currently rolling around. Little thank you card as always. And then the receipt looks like I spent $74.79. So you will see just how much stuff I managed to get for $74. Most of this is new to Discount Tackle, and I think a lot of it is new to me as well. So I got a little bit of a wide variety. Most of it is kind of finessier in nature, but we'll see. I don't even know where to start, but let's start with a bait that's not particularly new to the market. It's a couple, maybe 2 seasons old, but I have not tried it yet. There's just so many baits in this category that I tend not to branch out very much. You did see me branch out with a new craw with the Rapala Crush City cleanup craw. Just bought a pack to see what they look like. Very well might be the same with these. This is the Yamamoto Yama Craw. Now, it's the 3-inch, which appealed to me just a little bit more. This packaging is interesting, that they have like a sleeve around it, and then a pretty bare clamshell case, but you get 8 to a pack. The clamshell is perhaps not as efficient as it should be, but it's also not horribly oversized. Oh, interesting. It opens double wide, which actually I am a fan of. You don't really see that very often, so kind of cool. This color here, I think, is like their Bama Bug. And indeed it is. You get a mixture of tones here with like a green pumpkin, purple swirl with like a June bug, and pretty good looking bait right here. Now, you do get the Rage style flanges on here, but it's not quite as aggressive as what you'd get out of a Rage craw that are going to be quite a bit wider in nature. And you do get more of a craw body than a beaver body. So it's somewhere in between, say, a Rage craw and a Rage bug, which I do like. Has that very natural profile, and I think will make an awesome smaller jig trailer or even tiny little chatterbait trailer on something like the Mini Max. So Not mad that I picked these up. One feature about them to note is that it is made with their new Mega Floater formula. So I think even on a Ned head, this thing is going to be a good little bait. So a little bit bigger than what you'd see out of the Z-Man baits in like the TRD Craws or something of the sort. Also a little bit more versatile, probably more in line with what you'd get out of one of the Strike King Ned baits in like the Ned Rage Craw or the Baby Rage Craw, um, Baby Rage Bug, something like that. So picked up one pack of these just to see what they looked like, to be honest with you. And they were not too expensive, but also not crazy on sale. $6.29. I think they retail for $7. So 10% off. Not a bad deal. Happy that I got to see them in person. Now let's move on to some Keitech baits, because Keitech came out with some new baits. First, this is not a new bait, but it's new to me. Look how small this little package is. I love the way that this is packaged. So it's all just super compact. I can throw this in with my pan fishing stuff, or if I've got a proper jig head to throw it on, I'll just throw it in with the rest of all of my bass fishing gear. But this is the 2-inch little spider. So it's their little baby hula grub, and just a standard green pumpkin color. But goodness gracious, are these cute. Holy crap. This is a very, very small profile. Even smaller than I thought it would be. I have some small jig heads. But wow, that is minuscule. It's going to fish really well. I already know that. Ton of action for a tiny bait. But man, that screams panfish all day, but I think would be deadly on bedding bass as well. So you get those two super thin curly tails that face the inside and are going to have a really solid kicking action. And then you do get, I'm actually glad to see that this hula skirt already by itself, just gravity, wants to weigh it down. From pictures and stuff, it's hard to tell. It almost looks like this in the pictures. So it makes you think that you're going to have to kind of force these tentacles down. But honestly, they kind of do it on their own already. So I am excited about that. And obviously, when swimming them, they're going to be pulled down. So you got a skirt built into a soft plastic. Surprisingly, I've never tried them before. So they've always kind of halfway been on my radar. But since I've been picking up more and more tiny little finesse baits over the last couple of years, felt like this needed to be in my arsenal. And it was at Discount Tackle. So picked those guys up for $4.59. I believe they come 10 to a pack. So pretty good deal there. And then Keitech has a couple of new baits on the market. If we're just barely stepping up from that in terms of size, let me address your comments. Are you talking about the Yamamotos or the Keitechs, Riley? Adam likes the Keitechs. Not surprised about that. Glad to hear it, though. Big Malone in the house. How you doing tonight, man? Yes, I did. In fact, last month I unboxed the super pack and was very pleasantly surprised. I think it's going to make an awesome chatterbait trailer. Sorry, spinnerbait trailer more than chatterbait, but would work well as a chatterbait trailer too. I'll probably throw it on the back of a spinnerbait or as a super finessey swimming worm, or even as a drop shot worm if I plan to move the bait quite a bit more. But I did see it and I did take advantage of the deal. Next up is the Kitech Hyper Spider. So not little spider, but the Hyper Spider 3.2. This is a new bait on the market, and they're kind of bringing together multiple baits. So they're taking their little spider bait with the design of the Hula Grub skirt built in. And they've actually hyped it up a little bit. If you see all of the cuts on this skirting material, that is going to push a lot of water. They're much thicker, each one of these, than you'd get on a standard Hula Grub. So that's pretty cool. But aside from the skirt itself, what you get is a little craw. And the top section of this bait reminds me exactly of their toad style bait, which, what is the name of it? I don't know why all of their baits are evading me right now, but I don't have it up on the wall. I know that for a fact. They have their crazy flapper, which is a cross style bait, and this is not exactly that. This is more like their noisy flapper is what it's called, is their toad style bait that has these wider kickers. And so they just downsize that seriously with a skinny body and then that hula skirt. So I think this is going to make an awesome finesse swimming bait or little jigging style bait off the bottom. I'm a sucker for all black baits, so I decided to get one pack of these. I think it's the only pack that I got, but they come 6 to a pack, are just a hair more expensive. Hyper Spider, $5.51. So not a cheap bait, but also not crazy expensive at about $1 per bait when you consider the fact that you're getting the skirt built into it, and just a unique profile of something that isn't really already out there. Most hula skirt baits are grubs, if you will. So pretty excited that that is a thing, and wanted to at least see it in person for myself. So two other baits, or maybe it's one other bait that I just got 2 packs of. Okay, is the new Kitech Paddlin' Beaver 3.5. This is an interesting bait. Also with interesting packaging. They have gotten very efficient with their packaging, keeping it all in there tight and not wasting a lot of space on excess plastic. So I definitely appreciate that. This color here is called Natural Craw, and that's exactly what it is. You get like a green pumpkin brown. And as you can see, this is really the top of the bait. There are oh no, that's the bottom of the bait. So this is the top of the bait. 1, you get a place to bury your hook, and 2, you get eyes on top of the bait. And then the bottom of the bait is more rounded than flat on the top, and it also has a nifty little notch to bury your hook if you're Texas rigging, which you presumably are. So Texas rig this puppy, come out the chin. That'll hide that little chin of your hook, that little bend, and then come out the back and bury your hook in this little raised slot. Actually, I didn't realize that it's split open too. So you don't even need to bury it. It will protect the hook by itself. which is pretty cool. This is super soft, as you would expect from Kitech. Has their squid scent on it. Um, and then it has a unique joint and a very aggressive raised section here on the tail where it's attached. You get a little bit of reinforcement there, but then it is raised up. So this is very thick, this tail section. It is ribbed. You're going to get a ton of action out of that, but it isn't up and down type of action that you're going to get presumably. I'm not sure. Honestly, this could end up ripping off easily. I don't know that. Only time will tell in trying the bait, but I think as a bottom bouncing bait, or even as um, a swing head jig trailer, could be awesome, or as a flipping bait. Now it's a pretty small profile, so for a flipping bait, I don't know. You'd have to use a really small hook on it because it's only 3.5 inches. I assume that you're going to have to use something in the ballpark of a 2/0 hook, maybe as big as a 3/0. Um, hard to say. And I could pull out some hooks for you if you want me to rig one for you, just to see what it looks like rigged and how big of a hook is actually appropriate for it. But I did get 2 packs of it. As you can see, they come 7 to a pack. This is green pumpkin chartreuse. They call it electric bluegill, so it's not quite as aggressive as a lot of other companies would make a green pumpkin chartreuse, and you get that electric flake in there. So definitely a cool color from Kitech is their electric bluegill. Those were also $5.51 per pack. And I got 2 of them. So last thing from Kitech, which I have already had my hands on and felt like picking up because I thought that I had only gotten the bigger size of these, but I think I'm wrong. This is the Kitech Flex Chunk, which is a newer bait. I think when I bought these, they were really only available in Japan. I bought them about a year ago, and shortly thereafter, it was announced that they were going to release this bait to the US. So here we are with a jig trailer that is shaped like an old-fashioned chunk, and it comes together. So you just pull those bad boys apart, and then you're going to get a whole lot of flappy action. Not a lot of aggressive kick, but this is cut right down the middle all the way, and it's a beautiful little chunk. It's going to add some length to your jig. This is the medium size, is what it's labeled on the package, but I'm pretty sure as of right now they really only offer 2 sizes. It's a medium and a large. This is 3.2 inches, I believe, and then I think the other one's like 4 inches. So this size definitely appeals to me more, and I like the look of it. So this is obviously Okeechobee Craw. They come 6 to a pack, and I think I spent $5 even, 505 for the pack. So, 5 packs of Kitech soft plastics. I've always been a fan of Kitech, and it's cool to be able to try new stuff from them, no doubt. It has been a while since I've tried a lot of new things from Kitech, but I am a big proponent of many of their different soft plastic baits. So from the noisy flapper in their top water toad to the crazy flapper, which is their soft plastic craw bait, which has a ton of action, to their, you know, um, swing impact fat, which everybody has thrown for a long, long time, to a bunch of their worms, more so than their grubs. But I really like the swing impact, smaller size, skinnier paddle tail swim bait. And I also really like why do I always forget the name of this bait? It's one of my favorite worms of all time, and I always forget the name. You guys would probably remember faster than me. Um, but it looks like a swing impact, but is just a slender, tapered worm. Um, and it's evading me right now, so I feel the need to pull it up just to remind you what the worm is, and that if you haven't tried it, you need to. While I'm at it, I'm seeing, of course, the Easy Shiner. I probably prefer a little bit more to the Swing Impact if you're wanting a flat-sided and finesse paddle tail swim bait. But the bait that I'm thinking of is not the Shad Impact. It's the Easy Shaker. Dang it. I should have remembered that. Um, the Easy Shaker. One of my favorite baits of all time to throw on a drop shot. It has a neutral buoyancy, and they make it in like 3 or 4 different sizes. I prefer it in the 4.5 and the 5.5 inch sizes. We'll just nose hook it like a standard drop shot bait. Also works well wacky rigged on a drop shot and regular, but I prefer it on a drop shot more than anything. And then lastly, their tube is really cool. There's no other tube on the market like Keitech's salty core tube, which literally is a solid tube that can be rigged backwards easily. So this bait is full. It's not hollow. And so, of course, your hookup ratio on this bait is going to be a little bit worse than with a standard tube, but that's not really why you use this bait. You use it because it has a lot of density going for it. This is the smaller of 2 sizes. I like both of them. This one needs a smaller hook, but you can rig it just standard weightless, and you can cast it as far and get a different action as you would out of a standard hollow tube with a jig head in it. And then you can fish it weedless. You can also fish it backwards, and it has a little butt plug in there so that you can put the eye of your hook there, and it's not going to come out of the bait. And then your hook point comes out about here, and then it becomes a back sliding bait. So the salty core tube is one that, for whatever reason, does not get a lot of attention. I think that's just because tubes in general don't get a lot of attention, and so be it. Doesn't matter to me, if we're being honest. But who asked if it's like a fat Ica? Yes, kind of. It is a little bit like a fat Ica. Dustin Taylor in the house. How's it going, dude? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by. Frank, don't worry about it, but so kind of you to still be commenting anyway. I totally agree, Adam. Frank is getting out fishing with his son, and it looks like they are having the absolute time of their lives. And I am so happy for you, Frank. I cannot wait until those days come when I have the same experience with my son. My daughters like going fishing with me maybe a couple times a year, but definitely not like that. And I know they're not quite at the same age that your son is right now, but so happy to see that you guys are having a ball. Next bait, and I believe it's the last soft plastic in this package, is from Norries. So Norries has a bunch of awesome baits, and they are expensive. So you're almost not going to avoid that. It is a JDM brand that makes super high quality stuff with a, I don't want to say groundbreaking, but definitely an award-winning, tournament-winning scent that is impregnated into all of these. So I'm excited to see, and try this bait, but Norries is newer to Discount Tackle if you want to check out some of their stuff. Now, this is their Escape Twin in the little size. So it's a 4-inch bait. It only comes 5 to a pack. And like I said, it ain't cheap. Paid $10.49 for this. So that's why this is the only bait from Norries that I did pick up. Is that it adds up really fast. And I'm already regretting pulling this out because my fingers are getting super oily, but I wanted to smell this. That is not, I mean, I didn't know what to expect. It almost has like a smoky scent to it. That's wild. I don't want to touch it with both hands, but I want to be able to show you guys what the profile is. So it's got these 2 legs on both sides. This is like a brush hog style bait. So you get the 2 legs. It's almost more like doe live beaver esque, but it's rounded on top and flat on bottom. So this is a pretty sweet bait. Will be great for Texas rigging and for fishing on a wobblehead. Probably more so than as a jig trailer. Very, very oily. Holy hot damn. I definitely regret opening that right here. That would be a much more appropriate thing to do on the water. Wow. Super, super duper oily. Golly, that's gonna ruin my pants. I'm gonna have to wear a new pair of pants tomorrow. That's okay. Or maybe I'll just wear the same ones. I've got a dirty job tomorrow, redoing a hot water system at an office building, and so I will likely get dirty no matter what. Holy crap. So handle with care with all Norries baits. These are super oily. I don't know exactly how much oil is sitting in the bottom of this package, but these are soaked in scent. Now, this is a cool bait and a cool color. Bayou Goby in the Escape Little Twin 4-inch brush hog style bait. Only 5 to a pack, so they're $2 per bait. Not cheap. Personally, I would rather pay $1 per bait for Keitech, which is also JDM super high quality, better packaging in my opinion. Just an overall better deal, but I am curious about Norries. There have been some Japanese pros that have absolutely slayed on Norries baits and have used Norries scent. And so I've been curious about Norries baits for a while, but it's really hard to pull the trigger at that price tag when they add up so dang fast. I definitely missed some comments in here, and I apologize. Let me try to catch up real quick. Dustin throws a tube a lot. Sweet. So do you throw the Keitech Salty Core tube or do you not? And if not, are you going to try it? Because I do recommend it for sure. Gators Adventures, good evening, sir. How you doing? Dave, good evening. Thank you very much. It's good to be back. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been busy. I was gone traveling for 10 days during Christmas, and then I've been up in the mountains twice since then. It's just been kind of a busy early start to the year, and I haven't been fishing a lot. Took me a while to actually pull the trigger on this month's Discount Tackle unboxing, but I'm kind of glad that I waited because all of this stuff is pretty new to Discount Tackle. So if you weren't in here already, I'll just let you know that we did already go through all the Keitech baits and the Yamamoto 3-inch Yama Craw. Two-inch Keitech Little Spider. The 3.2-inch Keitech Hyper Spider. Sweet. the medium flex chunk from Kitech. This is a 3.2-inch chunk style trailer. 2 packs of the new Kitech Paddlin' Beaver. Looks super interesting. And then lastly is that Norris little escape twin that I just showed you. So consider yourselves all caught up very quickly. Here's a BFS bait. Holy crap, is this small? I did not realize it would be just this small, but oh my goodness. That's a little baby guy. I know exactly which tackle box this is going in of mine because it's about the same size as the Strike King Bitsy. Is it called the Bitsy Minnow? I don't know. It's their tiny little square bill crankbait. That's what this thing looks like. You're right, man. They smell like some smoked meat. Kind of crazy. I've never smelled Nori soft plastics. I didn't realize it would have kind of a smoky funk on it like that. But you Texas rig your tubes 95% of the time with a weight or without a weight. I assume if you're throwing a hollow tube, you're throwing a weight on the front of it. And I do that fairly frequently as well. I prefer a weedless tube the majority of the time. The Nori's Bug. I have, but I can't picture it right this second. What the heck? Nori's Bug. You're not talking about the hula bug, are you? Konami baits, Nori's Bug. I don't know. It looks just like a chopped down version of what I just showed you guys. But let's pop over to Discount Tackle real quick. I will show you guys what it is that they have from Nori's right now. Because they actually got kind of a lot in. So I'm going to move myself over to the corner so you can see a little bit more of this. And so when I bought this stuff, it was about to here. So you can see that the 3 Kitech baits that I scooped up are right there. I did not get the hammer trap, but the one we're going to talk about right now is the tiny gnat. And then here's some of the Nori's soft plastics. So the Escape Little Twin is what I got. They have a swim creature bait, which looks a lot like a Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Craw. The Switch On jig trailer, I almost got this. Super finessey. Super finessey. But I think could be really good, even though it's just 2.5 inches long. So ultimately, I opted out of that. You know, they do have a couple of chatterbait trailers. This one comes with the Nori's bladed jig. If you buy it from Japan, it comes with one of these. I believe their chatterbait is called the Hula Chat. And so the Hula Bug is what comes as the standard trailer for that bait. And then they have the Lady Balance, which is also a chatterbait trailer, but can be fished like a fluke and a few different ways as well. So some cool baits for sure. And they've got some worms that are really well known. These Nico worms with this little side appendage that you're actually supposed to rig your hook into and then put your nail weight up in the nose. I find that to be interesting. You know, a weedless Nico rig where you're actually burying in the plastic is kind of cool. So they've got a 4-inch and then a 5-inch with this little second appendage. I'm not really sure what the point of that is. And they've got a standard Nico worm. They've got like a shaky head style worm, the shrill pin, which has a little bit of a cool profile there at the top. I guess I can't zoom in on that. I can if I do this. Looks pretty wild, eh? And then Front flapper curly, is that different than this one? Escape twin swim creature bait? I guess they are different. Looks very similar, although this has more of a creature style body, but similar action aside from those side appendages and the shape of the body. And they've got their poo style bait, which is just a 3-inch guy, and then their flip gill, which a lot of people rave about, although this thing is like paper thin, and I don't know how much I would throw it, but I think it has kind of a spiral fall type of deal to it, that makes it unique. So they've got that in a 4-inch and a 5-inch, and then a couple of others. The Escape Twin in a couple of other sizes, 3, 4.5, and 5-inch. I went with the middle size, the 4-inch. Theoretically, since they all come 5 to a pack, maybe I should have gotten the 4.5-inch instead of the 4, but who really cares? So, Norris is at Discount Tackle. Bruce Nichols in the house. Jermaine in the house. What's up, Jermaine? Good job on your stream tonight. Sorry I had to dip out early to start this stream, but hope you're doing well, dude. Good to see you. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, Dave. And that's a big part of what I try to do with these monthly unboxings is buy a lot of the stuff that is not only interesting to me, but new to Discount Tackle. So that's why I do these live streams, is to show you exactly what I purchased and let you know what is new there, and let you know that they are updating their stuff all the time. So they do have more and more JDM stuff. So both the Kitech new baits and all the Norris stuff is new in at Discount Tackle. If you're interested in any of it, click the link in the description of this video, please. Okay. Now, you might have seen a hint of one of these baits, but I actually didn't get that bait. But I got one of each of the other ones. And these are the Strike King BFS baits. I guess before we talk about those, I should actually show you the Bill Lewis Tiny Gnat. I did not know it was going to be this small. You know, that's micro sized, 1.25 inches and an eighth of an ounce. I mean, it's super cute, but this has happened to me before, particularly with a JDM bait, the Imakatsu waddle bats. I bought the I don't know if it's called the baby bats or the tiny bats, but I bought that, and it came and was like pretty much this size. And I immediately was like, oh man. I mean, I'll find a time and place to use it, but you see, it's the size of my thumb, not even. And I don't have giant thumbs. This is just an absolutely miniature little bait. We put it up next to a relatively large size square bill crankbait. It is hilarious. It looks like food to this square bill right here. So, yeah. Little cutesy. No, it looks like it's well made and everything, but has a weight transfer system in it, a little bit of a rattle. I like the color pattern. This reminds me of a Strike King color. I believe it's called like hot tomato or something like that I use a lot in the red eye shad. So this half red, half chartreuse, hot yellow, did appeal to me. But goodness gracious, is this a tiny, tiny little bait with the smallest little hooks on there. I don't know how often I'm going to actually use this thing. It's hard for me to jump up and down saying, you guys got to run and get one of these. But it was $3.82. So it's not like it broke the bank for me to see it. I mean, it's got a good profile. It really looks like just a downsized version of, the MR6 or another bait like that. So I'm not mad that I bought it, but I'm also not like over the moon excited about it. It's going to go right in my tackle box with all the Bitsy minnows and stuff like that. Now that I look at it, it is actually like a translucent and super bright chartreuse, not totally yellow. So I guess that's kind of cool. At least just something to note. You're right, Caro. It is so itsy bitsy. No, a 100 Bandit is way bigger. This right here is an evergreen shallow hog. This is a pretty big square bill. It's almost 3 inches long, and weighs like 3/4 of an ounce. So just have that sitting right here. But I did get 3 other Bitsy baits. So Strike King now has a Bitsy line of hard baits. I guess I only got 2 of them. They might only have 3 hard baits out right now: a walking bait, a popper, and a jerk bait. The jerk bait didn't appeal to me all that much, to be honest with you. Plus, I've got so many small jerk baits that I already really like. So, top water appeals to me a little bit more because I don't have that many in these sizes. But I decided to take a peek at them. This is made in Poland. Okay. So this is the Strike King Bitsy dog, which I actually like the look of. So this is their sexy dog, just downsized into a tiny little walking bait. The Bitsy dog. This is their green gizzard shad color, high quality color. It is translucent, looks green in low light, definitely looks purple in highlight and in the sun, but I'm not mad about it. It is what it is. I'm kind of excited to try it. All these baits were $4.67. So I got 2 of the Bitsy dog, one in a clear color and one in a wild bright color. This one is in Fire Tiger. So not too often that you see a top water bait in a Fire Tiger color, let alone a walking bait. So super bright. I think that'll appeal to a lot of smaller species of fish, especially in dirtier water if fishing top water. But 2 of the Bitsy dogs and 2 of the Bitsy Splash. So you know that they have the KVD Splash, which is their topwater popper. I should have told you the specs on these baits. I am just kind of destroying the packaging and ripping into these, but I'll tell you real quick. Or do they even mention the specs on here? We might they might be forcing our hand to look these up. My guess is that they're about 3 inches long and 1/8 of an ounce, if I had to guess, but I don't know that. Here's the Bitsy Splash. Tiny little dude. Got it into more clear water colors. This is the strobe shad. So it does have a lot of like flash built into the color. It's got a purple back and a chartreuse belly and mouth. And then the clear water shad, which is a much more translucent color with some purple, a red mouth, and a gold back with a silver belly. So bunch of little finessey baits in this package. I mean, look at, I've got 4. I could fit 5 of these little baits in my hand right now. It's hard to say whether I get like all jacked up about those right now. I'm probably more excited about this little tiny bait, the little spider, because I've never tried that before. But the new Keitech baits are probably what appeal to me most out of these. You know, this paddle and beaver, I don't really know how I'm going to utilize it, but this dude right here, the Hyper Spider, looks pretty awesome. Like I said, it definitely has the head. Um, its kickers look a lot more like the Noisy Flapper, their topwater toad bait, which I think is cool that they actually applied that profile into a subsurface bait and a downsized presentation. This definitely has a different hula style skirt on it than the little spider, with all of these little cutouts and flanges on them. So pretty nifty. I'm excited about that bait. I'm a big fan of Kitech in general. The 3-inch Yamakra, I think, will not only make a good little small jig trailer, but I think it'll be a good Ned bait. And then the Noris, we'll see if and when I pull this out. It's probably going to gross me out just as much when I pull it out to fish it as it did when I just pulled it out to show you guys. That is greasier than a mofo. Goodness gracious. Mason, paddle and beaver as a buzzbait trailer. Interesting. That would not have crossed my mind, but I appreciate the suggestion, and I very well might give that a go at some point, but I'm probably going to want to try it as more of a bottom bouncing bait, or even potentially a drop shot bait. I might need to do some more research into like how it was designed to be used. Maybe as a Texas rig bait. I don't know what the action of it is actually supposed to be like. I just like Kitech so much that when I saw a new profile out, I'm sure it's existed in Japan for a number of years, but it's new to the US market and I hadn't tried it before, so I decided to scoop it up. If you guys have any recommendations on how to use it, in addition to a buzzbait trailer, please let me know. But Mason, thank you for the suggestion. Brandon, you and Jermaine jumping over here. I appreciate you. Good job on your stream tonight. Sorry I was not in for the whole time, but was able to make it for 30 or 45 minutes and enjoyed the conversation for sure. Now, I don't fish a wacky rig. I know you don't either, Brendan. So that was probably a little bit difficult for you to sit through for a while there. As it would be had you gotten here 10 minutes ago and had to see me open all of these little BFS baits. What do you think of this little square bill crankbait the size of my thumbnail? Tiny little guy. There's my thumb. Sorry that it's torture to you, dude. I know that you're always looking at bigger and better. I did start this stream by showing and talking about just my initial impressions when looking at the Kolshad. Of course, this is the 6-inch. I know you prefer the 8, Brendan, but saw this in Cabela's last week and just on a whim decided to pick it up so that I could actually pull it out of the package and see what its body looks like, how that tail bends over, and honestly, it's kind of a perfect in between, say, a mag draft and a swing impact fat. In fact, it's closer to a swing impact fat than a mag draft. It's definitely different and more tail than what you get out of a spark shad as well. So, probably a little bit closer to what you get out of the 7-inch spark shad, which, whatever. I don't know why I always bring that bait up because it does not exist anymore. But yes, perfect timing, Brendan. You're right. I only have 2 more things to open, and they'll be mild torture for you. Not bad. Michael Bradley, thank you for popping in to say hello and good night. No problem. Good night to you. Sweet dreams, baby boy. Kolshad is a solid bait. Ugly as hell, nothing special or revolutionary, but a fish catcher. Okay. Not every bait needs to be revolutionary. In fact, most baits are not revolutionary. So if it's a fish catcher, good. Um, Last thing that I picked up was 2 packs of the Swingin' Ned Rig Jig. This is the only one on the market to my knowledge. Um, and so VMC is not my preferred brand of hooks, but they do make some good terminal tackle and some good hooks. Now, am I gonna fork up the money for their red line hooks? No. Will I get some of their baits that have the red line hooks on them? Yes, perhaps. But I guess those would be Rapala baits, some of them. Um, I like their Nico hooks for sure. And to be honest with you, this kind of looks like that. I don't know why I can't get this actually out of the package. They've made this very difficult to extract. They've threaded it through 2 holes in the package, and the barb wants to get stuck. And I'm scared that I'm going to hook myself as I take this thing out of the package. I'm kind of tempted to just cut it out. Aha! She's been freed. Okay, so here she is. As you can see, this is a swinging Ned head. It is secured onto the head in a fashion that you cannot replace the hook that is on this little jig head. But lucky for us is that this is actually a decent hook that looks a lot like the Nico hook that I was just talking about. So if I had to guess, this is probably about a 1/0 hook. Does have a little fluorocarbon bait keeper that is molded onto the shank of the hook. If you can see there. And makes it so that you could fish this thing exposed or weedless, which is kind of cool. So let's take a bait for example. Um, it doesn't really matter which one it is. Let's just take the Yamacraw since we've got them sitting right here. Which, by the way, again, this clamshell packaging is pretty nifty. Definitely different. I was complaining at first because I felt like it was a lot of wasted space. Very tall clamshell packaging. You get wasted space in between all the baits. But the fact that it opens like a book is fun, I guess. Yes, Brendan, water tonight. It is dry January for your boy. Um, Surprise, surprise. I'm not drinking heavily. In fact, I'm not drinking much at all this month. It's supposed to be taking the whole month off, but I have made now 3 exceptions. So I'm going to go to February the 4th. Um, those exceptions have not been spur of the moment, but rather pre-planned. And so, yes, the goal is to go a month without drinking just for the sake of it, to show myself and my wife that it's not a big deal and to resist the urge of, sometimes when I feel like perhaps I deserve it or it would just be nice at the end of a long day, what have you. We're just going water for a month, dude. Yeah, Frank. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I'm trying to get healthy. Um, no, I got my blood tested just 2 weeks ago. Um, Dude, my liver and my kidneys are doing great. So I would imagine that had I been drinking enough prior to dry January, that stuff would still show up in my blood test. Um, but yeah, I just got a new doctor like 6 weeks ago, and I had been having a little bit too, let's say, wet of a holiday season as opposed to dry January. That it was actually my wife's idea to try dry January. I at first was like, why? I don't want to do that. Um, I don't need to do that. And she kind of just challenged me a little bit. So I said, you know what? Sure. Um, let's go for it. Doesn't bother me. Um, Now, would I prefer to be drinking on, say, a stream like this, on a night where my kids are asleep, my wife's out at book club, I'm chilling by myself and with you guys? Yeah, I'd probably prefer it. Um, will I do that in the future? Yeah, I will. Here we are. Voila. This right here is a swinging Ned rig on a bait that is almost made for this application. So this is the 3-inch Yamacraw that is going to have an awesome swimming action. As I said, profile wise, this is right in between like a Rage Craw and a Rage Bug. These are not out nearly as wide as the Rage Craw or like what you saw in the Kitech Hyper Spider, that are intentionally out and will have a wild kicking action, but it's not as in line as, say, a Rage Bug or as flat as what you'd see in most beaver baits. So it bridges that gap quite well. Will swim very well. I will probably fish this more as a jig trailer or a standard Ned head since it is made with Yamamoto's Mega Floater formula. So this is a floating bait, even though it's not made of an Elastec style material, but pretty cool little deal here. I've rigged it weedless and the hook is buried in the bait, but just ready to pop out here. You can see that. Um, and so I would say that's appropriately sized, maybe even a little bit small of a hook for this bait, but you could also thread it straight on. So let's try that and just see how it looks. As you guys know, I'm happy to experiment on these streams and perhaps shred a bait or two for the sake of exploration and curiosity to just see what things will look like. That's perhaps exposed a little bit more than I would like. Um, so I will thread a little bit further. Now, the problem is once you thread further and further, then you get a little too close to the Ned head. Um, and you start to get a bend on the plastic. I don't think this is rigged perfectly straight. It's a little bit too far on there. So you get this bow in the bait, which I don't love. Usually, if I over rig like that, what I'll do is just take the bait and rip it down a little bit. And then voila, it's rigged like it ought to be. You do get a lot of exposure with the hook this way. So my guess is I will rig it weedless most of the time. Um, I don't know. Okay, so swinging Ned head from VMC. I got 1 pack of chartreuse and 1 pack of the old black. I believe that is. Nope. GNPPK. Green pumpkin. Those were 3 to a pack for $4.67. So not crazy expensive, but also not a cheap Ned head. So anyway, all of this stuff that I got tonight, I paid $74 for. You got to pay, I think, $59 or more to get free shipping. I do recommend it. It's hard to say how much of this stuff I would immediately go buy more of, but I'm not mad about having purchased any of it. I'm excited that it's all new to Discount Tackle. I think I will definitely put all of it to use. And yeah, it's always fun to see new stuff up for sale, buy it, and then get it in your hands and actually have the wheels start turning about how will I utilize these baits. For me, I see this being a finesse jig trailer and a Ned bait almost exclusively. More of a traditional Ned bait, perhaps an EWG Ned bait. So could work very well to have it on, say, this head right here, like I just had rigged for you a minute ago, rigged weedless. The Kitech baits kind of get my head spinning a little bit about, how am I going to utilize this? Obviously, the chunk is going to be a jig trailer for cold water and more finessey situations where you want to draw a bigger bite in slower situations, more targeted spots. But some of these tiny little baits in the little spider and the hyper spider are cool because they're new to me. I don't throw a lot of hula grub style stuff, and it'll be fun to give those a go. The paddle and beaver is a weird one, but one that it's going to make me think after this. So excited about that. So that does it for this month's Discount Tackle unboxing. What else do you guys want to talk about? I'm probably not going to scroll through all of this right now, but did you guys get your annual master catalog from Bass Pro and Cabela's in the mail or not? I just went to the mail today to get the Discount Tackle package, and in the mail with a whole bunch of other stuff, including holiday cards and bills and whatever else, was this dude. And I love it. My 8-year-old was like, Dad, you want to come read the Bass Pro book with me? And I'm all about it. It was right before dinner, so we didn't yet, but we are going to peruse that bad boy from front to back, or probably skip half of it and go through all of the baits very slowly and excitedly. So I'll let you know on a separate stream what caught my eye, if anything. I mean, I'm up to date on most of what is new to the market, and I try to pick them up as they become available. But always fun to get that catalog. Still, kind of gets you a little bit excited. 599 pages. You browsed it at work, my man. Nice. No problem, Adam. Yeah. Honestly, it's one of those things that, like, I heard about them when they were released at ICAST, and then they've kind of flown under the radar, just like happens with a lot of stuff, because they're released, or shall I say introduced, at ICAST and then not actually released for months and months later. So, I think a baby popper, there's always a place for. And then, the Splash, KVD Splash, it has always been a solid, um, cheaper popper. So to have a baby size version of it is going to just be kind of an easy decision. And then I'm very curious to see what the action of a BFS walking bait like this little dude in the Bitsy Dog is going to be. So tiny little guy. Maybe we could just pop right over to Discount Tackle for a second and see if they mention what the sizes are of this. The problem is the Bitsy Dog is sold out right now, so it disappears from, say, the new arrivals page. It's already sold out. These are the two that I got, but yeah, it's just shy of 3 inches. And let's see if they have the weight on here. Not even listed. It's kind of obnoxious. Let's see if we can just go to another site to see. I assume I'm still sharing with you guys, but yeah, as you can tell, it's definitely cheaper to buy at Discount Tackle. Although sometimes availability can be suspect if it's a new bait and it has sold well. So they don't even list the length and weight. How obnoxious is that? So 5.49 versus $4.12. What a great deal. Let's see what the actual weight on this thing is. It's sold out on Strike King's website, um, which is kind of mind blowing. But give us the specs already. I don't see them listed here. What's up, Pip? What do you got?
Muddy Buddy Balls.
Oh, hell yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Look at what my sweet wife just did. Got home from book club and just delivered the goods. Some Muddy Buddy balls.
They're like Rice Krispie treats with marshmallows and peanut butter chocolate and covered in powdered sugar. They're delicious.
I didn't even catch half of that, but I'm gonna dig in. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Whoa. Take it easy. Okay. Now, most of you guys have probably had Muddy Buddies, but those are made with Chex, right? The cereal. And you mix in melted chocolate, peanut butter, and powdered sugar. This is a unique take on that. This is a Rice Krispie treat with marshmallow and then peanut butter and chocolate and powdered sugar. Oh, dang. Hell yeah. Oh, man. Dangerous. Dangerous. Oh, I'm so tempted to eat that second one right now. I'm going to save it. Whoa-y, whoa. Definitely makes me thirsty, but that is super tasty. Shoo! Delish. Dude, I don't have the recipe. One of my wife's friends made it tonight for book club. They all showed up with different snacks or desserts, rather. And dang, that's good. My wife just made some like peanut butter chocolate fudge. I didn't think she'd be coming back with other people's stuff, let alone some Muddy Buddy Rice Krispie treats. Bruce, why won't you be? Dude, you're nasty, bro. Get your head out of the gutter. Muddy Buddies are banging. Very good snack. Brendan, yeah, I'll do that for you. I'll go out of my way. Follow up with me if you haven't heard from me in a few days, but I will ask. I'll follow up because that might be worth making around our house from time to time. Because I'm a big Rice Krispie treat junkie. And I also love Muddy Buddies, but I only have Muddy Buddies like, I don't know, once every couple of years. We don't make them all that often, but I grew up loving them. So to bridge the gap and bring together two of my favorite childhood desserts is that just hit a soft spot for me. Dang. What else do you guys want to talk about right now? We don't need to stay on forever. It's been an hour and almost 20 minutes. I don't feel like I need to get out of here to go be with my wife necessarily, but I just don't know. I don't have much of an agenda otherwise aside from the unboxing, and I'm curious to know if you guys have um, anything that you guys want to talk about specific. Brendan, learn how to bake. No, dude, I'm an OG. I prefer the original recipe. But look at this. Big Malone is already he has it. He has it, dude. Who knows? I'll verify what it is, but Adam, I think you're right. Um, although I'm sure the hardware on it was definitely subpar. And I've actually surprisingly never been a huge fan of the original Spook or Super Spook. Um, I mean, I like the Super Spook Junior, but surprisingly, I don't fish it all that often. I've got so many different walking baits that I tend to branch out a little bit more um, and fish different ones. So, um, yikes! Oh, there go my poppers. Yeah, I'm okay. So that's the Sexy Dog Junior, which I think I do slightly prefer to the Super Spook Junior. Um, just in terms of sound and action, I like it a little bit better. Like the original Super Spook doesn't even really have a spot in my box anymore because I throw so many different walking baits, and even some of the other um, new alternatives, cheaper JDM versions of walking baits have made their way into my arsenal, and so I just don't use the Spook very much. No problem, Brendan. It's crazy what you do at this hour of night. Going to get gas right now, dude? Isn't it freaking midnight? Midnight 30? Well, no problem. Good to see you too. Hope you have a great night and good luck hauling horses to North Carolina in the morning, dude. Drive safe. So yeah, here's even like this is the Sammy. I don't know if it's the 105, but they came out with a couple different Sammys that are in that like $10 price point, which is cool, but the original Sammy and Gunfish are hard to beat. The who just asked what my favorite walking bait is? Um, Adam. So it's hard to say. In the last couple of seasons, the walking baits that have gotten the most use from me are probably these three right here. Not specifically these colors, but these are probably my three favorite walking baits at the moment, and they're not cheap. So pardon me on that, but the Teckle Kick Knocker Pup, which is their junior size, still has 3 hooks on it and is a downsized like a Super Spook Junior size bait. Really like it. So Kick Knocker Pup, which is more like $20. Then I'll go down. If I want a traditional walking action and I want something more subtle than that, the Evergreen JT95 is an awesome bait. Sorry that my HVAC system just started up, but the Evergreen JT95 is an awesome bait. They make all of these baits in 1 and even 2 sizes larger, but I prefer this small to medium sized walking bait, typically speaking. My fish don't eat a ton of big walking baits, and that's just me personally, but the JT is a silent walking bait, no rattles, and it walks really well. I don't know what it is. It's the flat bottom and flat sides. The profile of this bait that is just different than what you get from most walking baits. I really like the action of it, for quite a bit more subtle of a walking bait. And then lastly, if I'm not trying to cover as much water, the Shower Blows in its middle size. It's hard to say middle because I think there's 4 different sizes, but the 105 again has 3 hooks on it. All 3 of these baits have 3 hooks on them. They're smaller hooks, probably somewhere in the ballpark of like a size 6 hook on the Teckle and on the Shower Blows. And then maybe even like a size 8 hook on the JT95. But the Shower Blows is more of a pencil popper, is going to walk in place. It sits ass down a lot more, so it doesn't want to travel very far, but it will walk in place and spit quite a bit much more water, whereas the JT95 walks a lot and is a super subtle bait on the surface. So almost opposite presentations in those two from Evergreen. And then the Kick Knocker is just kind of a classic walking bait. But I would say those are my favorites. But again, the Sammy and the Gunfish, I throw a lot. And then if I'm feeling cheap for whatever reason, I will go to the Strike King Sexy Dog and Sexy Dog Junior a fair amount. Sexy Dog, I think, is underrated. Frank, I will be hitting the river with my fly rod, probably a handful of times this winter. I'll go up to the mountains, and if I'm up when I'm skiing, then I'm hitting the creek more than the river. It tends to run shallower, and the flow is not quite as aggressive. But I definitely like to fish there. I just caught a brown trout last weekend. But I will go to the river maybe twice or 3 times this winter on the Colorado. And yeah, I definitely catch better fish up there, but it's more of a haul for me to actually make that trip for the day. Usually not staying overnight up there, so tends to be a little bit trickier for me. And this is the time of year where I tend to prioritize skiing more than I do fishing. They're my 2 biggest passions, and I can get as much or more fly fishing in during the spring and fall, when it's prime and the weather is a little bit more pleasant and skiing isn't really a factor. So, yeah, I tend to really, the short answer is yes, I will be fly fishing some this winter. You got some heated socks to try inside your waders. Interesting. I don't really do that. I wear ski socks. So I wear, insulated, heavy, thick socks. Sometimes I'll wear wool socks, but I don't wear heated socks. I don't wear foot warmers. I just kind of tough it out. But I'm used to, being in ski boots in cold weather and all of that. So anyway, glad to hear that you are doing some wading yourself and that you're still doing a lot of fishing. So I would say I fish more soft plastics than I do hard baits. Probably in the order of soft plastics, then some form of jig, and then hard baits. And when I say some form of jig, I'm talking a pretty wide variety. So could be a traditional jig, could be a swim jig, could be a chatterbait, could even be a spinner bait. So I tend to fish those baits a lot, but probably soft plastics the most. I drop shot, a Ned rig, and I Texas rig almost every time that I go out. I will always have a setup with those on, and then I will always have a power fishing setup that's usually a little bit heavier. Um, and that's where I'm throwing a jig most of the time, usually one that is moving. Um, and then I also do like to have either, depending on where I'm going, I'll either have a big bait setup where I'm throwing swim baits, or I'll have more of a cranking setup where I'm throwing hard baits. Um, and depending on the time of year, I have a jerk bait and top water setup as well. So usually I'm going with roughly 4 different combos. Um, one that is finesse, that's for my drop shots and my Ned rigs. One that is power for my moving baits. Um, one that is perhaps um, lighter, more of a cranking setup. And sometimes when I'm not taking that, I'll go the opposite end and I'll bring a heavy where I'm either frogging or I'm flipping or punching. And then, golly, good that that finally ended. Um, yeah, I just lost my train of thought. And occasionally I'll go out intentionally to BFS fish as well. So for me, 2 or 3 combos would be light. 4 combos is pretty typical for me. And 5 combos, I rarely bring that many with me. But Bruce Nichols, 12:30 a.m. sitting down with coffee, my man, trying to stay up all night long. Um, you like the gunfish? Adam, you missed that clicking, huh? Anytime I'd get up to pee, I'd always forget to mute my mic, and you'd hear that clicking. Before I actually disabled the relay down here, um, that's hysterical that you'd say that. That's so funny, man. You like things that need to be plugged in. You're funny. Uh, dang. So you dress heavy, huh? I find that when I've got layers on my core, and if I've got my hands taken care of and I've got my extremities good, um, if I know the toes are an extremity, but um, I'm not ever going barefoot, right? I'm good with kind of a single pair of socks. Um, so yeah, I'll wear a pair of like long johns and maybe sweats or something of the sort under my waders with one pair of thickish socks, warmer socks, and then I'll wear like 2 base layers and a jacket, wear a hat, and then um, I usually wear like latex gloves. Um, so the rubber gloves that like nurses and doctors wear. I find that that is a really good way to keep your hands dry and keep them warm when you're out in cold weather. You still have the grip, you have the feel, and you don't need to be wearing warm gloves and constantly be taking them off and putting them back on. So that is probably one of my bigger pieces of advice for people if you're especially fly fishing, but also just fishing in general in cold weather and cold water. Keep your hands dry and warm by wearing thin latex slash rubber gloves. Just got a new top water rod. Good for you. Congratulations on the purchase. Haven't even taken out of the tube yet. Okay. Well, good on you. Yeah, poppers, walking baits, jerk baits. Um, good deal. Yeah, I've got a setup just like that. Um, mine is, I think, a 610 medium um, fast action. So it is literally a jerk bait slash top water rod. My cranking setup can also double as something similar, but it's a 7 foot medium moderate, maybe moderate fast. I forget what Daiwa calls the action on that. You know, the power is medium, but the action, they maybe call it like regular, something like that. So occasionally I will use that rod to fish top water, especially if I want to make a little bit of a longer cast. But then, of course, I've got to put a different reel on it because usually my cranking setup is going to be 12-pound fluorocarbon, which ain't going to work on top water. So usually for my jerk bait and top water setup, I'm throwing um, braid to a leader, you know, because that way I can make longer casts and I can switch my leader type depending on what I'm doing. But as I said, I usually kind of switch um, what I'm throwing on that setup based on the season. So I will sometimes swap the reel on that rod as well. So if I'm throwing a jerk bait, it'll end up being kind of the same, like 10 to maybe upwards of 14 or 15-pound fluorocarbon. Usually 12 is the sweet spot there. But for top water, I do prefer braid to, you know, 18, 24-inch monofilament leader the vast majority of the time, uh, depending on what I'm throwing. Sometimes I'll go straight braid, but um, usually not. You know, sometimes I'll throw a loop knot and go straight braid if I'm uh, doing a popper or a walking bait, but usually I don't like that it will hang on the hooks occasionally. So you just have to be a little bit more aware of that. But having a shorter, stiffer leader, something in the ballpark of 15 to 20 pounds monofilament, does the trick really well. But Dobbins Fury 663 spinning. So are you still big on spinning setups, Adam, or how much have you transitioned into bait casters just yet? I know that for the longest time, your preference was, and maybe still is, to throw spinning setups. You just like the control. You like the way that they fish better. It's what you're accustomed to and prefer. But where are you at these days with that? And Bruce just picked up a Fury 704 and 733. 80 for both of them. Dude, Bruce is always the king of good deals. That dude knows how to buy stuff secondhand really, really well. Congratulations on the pickups, Bruce. Right on. Yep, that's what I figured, Adam. Um, good to hear. Um, doesn't make a difference to me. You know, as I said, I usually will bring a spinning setup with me, usually specifically for a drop shot or a Ned rig, um, or like a baby chatterbait or something of the sort. But now that I've got my BFS set up, who knows, that might end up changing my mind a little bit, and I could end up fishing less and less spinning rods. We'll find out. I still definitely have more control in casting super finessey baits on a spinning rod. I can definitely cast further and a little bit more accurately with a spinning rod and light baits than I can with bait casters. But if I'm throwing anything over 3/16 or a quarter ounce, I prefer a bait caster. Um, but I hear your point completely. So no big deal. Frank says, I bought the Sims mid layer bib on sale. So if it's really cold, I wear that in between my merino long johns and fleece pants. Dang, your toes get cold if you don't take care of them. Your hands too. Well, I guess that's part of getting old, huh, Frank? Dang, son. Um, sorry, I'm not going to dog on you too much. Plus, you're not that old, man. Uh, but you are from Canada, so I'm surprised you layer up quite that aggressively. Uh, what else? Anything else, guys? Because this freaking treat is staring me down right now, and I don't want to eat the other one on stream right now. But take a look at this puppy. I mean, probably just looks like a pile of dog shit right now with some powdered sugar on it, but it tastes so good. Yeah, I'd probably opt out of the marshmallow if I was making it myself, but very, very delicious. Um, what else? What else? I don't know. I have so much stuff that I need to organize, and like I need to get my head right in terms of planning what needs to take priority in terms of what I'm going to put to use early season so that then I can reevaluate after the first couple of months because I want to take advantage of the pre-spawn before then all of a sudden the spawn is upon us and the techniques are changing and then the fish get finicky. All of the presentations go down in terms of size. And so I'm very curious and excited about this dude, the mullet, or is it called the mulletron or just the mullet um, from Z-Man? This wedge tail, line through, a Laztec. It's got so much going for it. Um, very excited. So two different sizes. I definitely want to prioritize throwing this size, but I wouldn't be surprised if on small bodies of water I end up fishing this one more. It definitely has a much more subtle action than this guy, which I think is going to be wicked when fished low and slow, especially with that top hook design. This thing will fish quite well low and slow on the bottom. But this bait, I will say, right after opening this, and every time I look at it, I'm thinking I need to buy a couple more of those. That is one that I'm pretty jacked about. And I've got it flipped upside down in the package. Bruce has a lefty Tatula Elite that needs a new home. Oh, look at you. You're wheeling and dealing, huh? You remember that I'm a lefty, don't you? Well, I don't have any Tatula Elites. Actually, I do. My cranking. No, that's a Tatula SV. So I have some. I have one or two Tatula. I have one Tatula 100. I have a Tatula SV. I have a Tatula 200, I think, and then I've got a zillion. Um, but Bruce hit me up. I might be interested. Um, we could do a trade. I might be willing to buy that off your hand, but let's talk about it. I'm open to it. Not that I'm necessarily in need of or in the market for a reel, but depending on the deal or what you might be interested in, if you're willing to do a trade. Um, I mean, if the reel needs a new home, I have the space for it. So let's talk, dude. The Spro terminal tackle boxes. I have seen them, but I'm not familiar enough with them to be able to speak on them. So, no, I don't know, but you've been using them and loving them, huh? Good to hear. Makes me want to check them out a little bit. Yeah, double sided. I do like that design. Um, yeah, in fact, I think Discount Tackle maybe had them, and when I went to buy them, they were out of stock at the time. Spro Terminal. Yeah, so I almost purchased these. The small one I hear is tiny though. Um like little and so, strictly for like weights and swivels more so than even hooks. Um just a terminal tackle box. The medium even still 6 inches long. Um small guy. The large is 8 inches. They don't even say the XL, so I wonder if the XL is the large. I don't know, but 8 inches long is not that big either. So I am curious about it. I have some boxes like that I like the way that they are divided. Um, and so the OCD part of me sees that and thinks, "Oh, I like the way that they thought about that." Um, but I've got systems of my own that work, and so am I open to trying it? For sure, but, I think the only reason I didn't pull the trigger on it at the time was that they were either out of stock or I had just read that they're a lot smaller than you would think, or maybe it was both at the same time, but either way, um, you don't have the smallest one, but they are awesome boxes. Okay. Please do, Bruce. Well, good deal. Appreciate you. Good to hear that you're taking good care of your stuff. You need to figure out a reel for your spinning rod, but not sure where to go with that. Well, you said you're going to be throwing jerk baits and top water. Um, Personally, on almost all spinning rods, I prefer a 2500 size reel. Um, I throw the whole range from as small as a 500 or 1000 size reel on super finessey stuff. If I'm using like a 5.5 or 6.5 foot rod, um, and I'm in close quarters, and I don't want a deep spool, but that's too small. I think a 3000 it becomes too heavy um, for most setups, especially if you're throwing, this on a shorter rod and you're going to be using lighter lures, not super finesse lures, but I find that a 2500 does me best. So I could give you a couple of recommendations if you're into that. What's your budget range? Look at Bruce is already in it. Stratic FLs are around 150. Yeah, that is pricey, but that's a good deal on it. Fuego's on clearance. That would be a good purchase for sure. I was kind of tempted to get a new spinning reel not long ago, but honestly, I'm not super picky when it comes to a spinning reel. I just like something that has a good drag, has a sturdy bail that makes an audible click, but isn't overly loud, and spins freely. Doesn't have any negative feedback or resistance. So I believe it. I've heard nothing but good things about it, but I actually haven't held one in my hands. Um, so I can't quite speak to that. Now, one reel that has surprised me a lot, and has been one of my better ones over the last, I don't know, 5 or more years, has been a mid-range Daiwa. I mean, I could say mid to low end Daiwa. It's right below the Fuego. It's the Exceller. Um, I really like that reel. Um, I don't know what it is about that, but it has just done really well for me. Um, the Exceller LT. Depending on where you shop, looks like westmarine.com has them on sale right now for $59. Um, I think new they go for $100, but Daiwa is putting out new stuff all the time. So I don't know if the Exceller is like going out or not, but for the price point, I think it's a fantastic reel. Um, I just like, again, all those things that I mentioned, between the drag feeling just right and being easily adjustable, the handle being sturdy, and the feel of the grip on it, to the bail, the way that it sounds opening and feels super sturdy. I would prefer a thicker bail. I don't like that more and more high end reels these days are having these like paper thin bails. Um, Not that I think I'm going to damage it, but I just don't like the way that it feels when I'm opening and closing the bail. Um, That's just my opinion, but I have that Exceller in the 2500, and it tends to be more of my go-to reel day in and day out, and it's cheap enough that, like, I don't feel guilty about, beating it up, um, but it has been money for me for a long time. So, anyway, we can talk more about spinning reels another time, but, I think I'm gonna get out of here. It's almost 11 o'clock my time. I do have work at I've got to be across town at 7 a.m. tomorrow and have, like I said, a busy and difficult day tomorrow that might end up leading to me having to stay late at work because we're going to kill the boilers to this entire office building for the majority of the day, and we can't stop the job until we get it done. um, Working on programming the hot water system, tying everything into the air handlers on the roof and everything. So um, thank you guys for stopping in tonight. Super fun to see you all, to hang out, chat fishing, show off some lures, and just generally come back together. So happy New Year. Happy dry January to all of you. I appreciate the support. If you are interested in anything Discount Tackle, use my link in the description of this video. And until next time, uh, hopefully I'll see you in less than a week. My wife's working, I think, this Friday and Saturday. So um, keep your eyes peeled. See you soon. Bye, guys.